Why am I getting fired? Why are my videos getting taken down and why am I getting strikes? Like, I'm about to lose my account. I was assaulted. I'm the victim. I lost my job. I'm the victim.
This is where the prosecution has to prove her intent in filming him. And the thing is, usually intent is one of the hardest things to prove in any case. That's because it requires digging into the mind of the defendant. And that isn't always so easy. But unfortunately for Henderson, she opened her mouth all over TikTok and made this element way easier for the prosecution to prove.
All right, family, I have a fantastic video for you here today. And I love watching these videos because we get the unique opportunity to listen to a lawyer break down the legal case against the DoorDash girl and why she so hilariously pled not guilty, even though she self-snitched, she self-incriminated on herself all over these social media streets. The content comes from channel Legal Bites. Fantastic content over there, by the way. I'll leave a link to it in the description box down below. But it's beyond satisfying to see these professional victims professionally victiming and then being hit with accountability that they uploaded themselves. And, you know, it's not that social media has made us dumber, but social media has allowed for the dumb people to reveal themselves. Let's get active on this one. Without further ado.
Why am I getting fired? Why are my videos getting taken down and why am I getting strikes? Like, I'm about to lose my account. I was assaulted. I'm the victim. I lost my job. I'm the victim.
This TikToker recently went viral for posting a video of a DoorDash customer of hers who was asleep on his couch in his living room, naked from the waist down. And after going viral, she decided to go to the police about the incident, saying the customer sexually assaulted her, even though he was asleep the entire time that she was at his property. Since then, TikTok took down the video and all replacements that she tried to upload. DoorDash fired her as one of their gig workers, and she was arrested for 2 felonies, unlawful surveillance of another person and dissemination of said unlawful surveillance.
Oh, yeah.
And now on December 4th, 2025, she made her first court appearance for her arraignment. And despite the fact that she self-snitched all over the place in her various TikTok videos about this whole incident, at this arraignment, she pled not guilty. And from what it looks like, the only real defense that she has is by continuing to double down on this idea that she's a victim of sexual assault. We'll talk about why that is, and we'll talk about why this means that looking down the road, one of 2 things is likely to happen. Either she's going to go through some kind of difficult character development and a process of growth and maturation, where she ends up taking some kind of a plea deal, which means that she takes responsibility for her actions, of course. Or she's going to dig her heels in until the end of time and 100% get convicted and end up with a worse sentence simply because she refused to give up on her deluded self-victimization. If she takes that path, she could end up as the poster child / cautionary tale for why you really shouldn't go through life seeing yourself as a victim of the world.
Talk about
Let's get into it.
I love that introduction. And also, too, her name is associated with DoorDash girl. So from here on out, unless she changes her name, where is she going to get jobs from? And by the way, I think it's going to be the second option. She, with her overweight public defender, are going to continue on digging their heels in until this, oh, woe is me, I am a victim. I mean, I hope that I'm wrong. And along with that wrong, I hope that she uploads a public apology revealing exactly what happened. And I want everybody who supported her initially to upload their own damn public apologies for supporting this evil, trauma-filled young lady. Nevertheless, write down in the comment section if you think it's going to be option 1 or option 2. Can't wait to hear, y'all.
Okay, for reals this time. Let's talk about what happened with the DoorDash girl's court appearance.
Okay.
So really, the only thing that's changed now is Olivia Henderson, also known as DoorDash Girl, has now been arraigned and she entered her plea of not guilty. And I guess I'm not all that surprised that she went with a not guilty plea at the outset because that's pretty common, actually. Even in cases that don't really look great for the defendant, sometimes there's enough there that by entering a not guilty plea, you can retain some amount of leverage for a plea deal where you might be able to get some of the charges or penalties removed or lowered.
Okay.
If prosecutors have bigger fish to fry, for example, they might be more likely to negotiate a plea deal that the defendant might not otherwise get if they just enter a guilty plea from the outset.
Which is why bringing the content like this up to public platforms is so important. And the same thing happened in the Rhoda Brickface Osmond situation. I do not think that she would have gotten the current sentence of 10-year social media ban if it wasn't for content creators constantly putting pressure on the issue, compiling information for the district attorneys. Shout out to Queen of Accountability yet again, because they subpoenaed her, a content creator, to help the state convict Brick Lady, which is why I continue on doing videos like this and continue to spread this knowledge and this information that these false allegations absolutely happen and they need to stop. These clowns do not need plea deals. They need the book thrown at them so future clowns will think twice. Make an example out of her. Quick emergency meeting. I was recently searching for my name online and found way too much personal information, which brought me down this weird rabbit hole of how that could have happened, and found out that there's companies out there called data brokers that will sell your data to marketers, scammers, and even stalkers. And it's a nasty, disgusting feeling knowing that there's bad actors out there selling my information, selling your information for profit. But that's why I'm recommending today's sponsor, Aura. Now, I use Aura to automatically remove my information from these sites and keep my information off, but they do other things as well, such as bank fraud and identity theft alerts, VPN access. But guys, utilize my link down in the description box down below for a 14-day trial. At least see if you've been compromised. Privacy is king in this day and age, and you should know if your information is out there. So again, utilize my link, aura.com/MTR, in the description box down below to try 2 weeks free. That's way more than enough time to see if your personal data has been exposed. Go now.
That said, there also is a benefit to pleading guilty if you think that your case isn't likely to win at trial.
Yeah.
That's because when it comes to sentencing, judges typically will use their discretion to assign a lesser punishment where they can.
Just admit
if
it.
the defendant pled guilty, as opposed to letting it go all the way to trial. And the thing is, if Henderson's case does go all the way to trial, I think that her chances of winning are slim at best. To explain that, let's first talk about what the prosecution needs to prove with these charges.
Okay.
As a reminder, there are two of them. The first is unlawful surveillance, and the second is dissemination of unlawful surveillance. Now, the second one is basically where you do all the things for an unlawful surveillance, or you know that an image or a video was obtained through unlawful surveillance, and then you take the additional step of selling or publishing it. So with that, let's dig into unlawful surveillance, since it's needed for both of these charges. Here, the state is charging her with a violation of subsection 1 of that statute specifically. And under subsection 1 of the New York Penal Code section 250.45, the prosecution has to prove the following. First, the defendant intentionally surreptitiously recorded/broadcast another person. Second, the defendant recorded that person while they were dressing, undressing, or otherwise revealing their intimate parts. Third, the defendant did this when the person had a reasonable expectation of privacy. Fourth, the defendant did all of this without the person's knowledge or consent. And finally, the defendant recorded the person for the purpose of another person's amusement, entertainment, or profit, or for the purpose of degrading or abusing him.
That's
so
to
looking
the
at
T,
all of this,
baby.
element 1 is easily met.
Yeah.
We know that Henderson recorded the DoorDash customer because that's what went viral on TikTok after all. We also know it was an intentional recording. It's not like she happened to be vlogging her work or something
And he was in the
a naked
background.
man
Right.
walked into the frame behind her and she didn't intend to record him. She saw him there on the couch and decided to take her phone out and record him.
That's fucked up.
No,
Second,
imagine being so terrified that this creep is doing this to you that you pause, think about what to do, take out your phone, turn it on, record, walk around, continue to record with yourself in it so that your TikTok following knows and verifies that it's you who is being accosted. If a woman really is in danger and really thinks that there's some creepy bullshit amiss, typically they scream, right? Like they scream running away. Maybe they'll record behind them. Maybe if they have the sound presence of mind. By the way, that first element, that first charge would have more than likely not have been brought up upon her if it wasn't for the next element, right? The actual posting online. If she just went to the cops with the tapes and said, hey, this happened to me, first off, it'd be way more believable that she actually thought something happened to her. And second off, the male victim would have not felt the pain of the content being disseminated widely, therefore probably would have never even brought charges upon her in the first place.
Also know that the recording included an image of him naked from the waist down. I'm not showing that part of her original video for obvious reasons, but it is out there on the internet. And not only that, but Henderson also told TikTok that she showed the video she took to the police after she finally reported it, and she also emailed it to them after that.
And they sent a police officer over to speak to me in person and watch the video that I have. And then he asked me to email it to him, and he asked me if I want to press charges, like what do I want to come from this? And I said...
So they have the video sent directly from her, which means that it's going to be impossible for her to fight these first two elements. Anyway, then there's a part about the man's reasonable expectation of privacy. Now, for one thing, Henderson acknowledged again to TikTok that there are issues of privacy here. In fact, she said that the reason that she hesitated to call the police was precisely because he was in his own home.
But I didn't report this to the police last night because I wasn't sure of DoorDash's process for like SA, or if this was even reportable to the police in New York State because he was in his home.
Now, of course, her whole point is that she maintains that his door was wide open when she approached and that you could see him from the doorway. So I imagine that she's probably going to dispute this element. I mean, she'll probably say that he didn't have a reasonable expectation of privacy because his door was wide open. But I, of course, also have to point out it has been reported that the police said that they reviewed the man's ring footage showing his front door. And according to police, the door wasn't wide open when she walked up. She let herself into the man's home. So if they do in fact have that footage and it does depict what is being reported it depicts, then yeah, she's pretty cooked on this element as well. Then there's the fourth element, recording a man without his knowledge or consent. If you've seen the original video, yeah, he looks pretty unconscious. Now, she claims, of course, that he laid there naked specifically because he ordered and then saw that his DoorDasher had a female name. And this is to suggest that he wanted to be seen somehow. However, the fact that the instructions said to leave the food at the door says otherwise.
And not open
And honestly, I don't know what facts she even used to concoct that theory, because there is nothing in the original video that can suggest anything other than the fact that he's just totally passed out on his own couch. And for this element, the prosecution is likely going to call the man as a witness to describe his night, how he got drunk, what he remembers about ordering DoorDash and undressing and laying on his couch to sleep. And he'll likely say, no, I did not consent to anyone taking any photos or videos of me while I was sleeping on my couch. So based on what's publicly known, I think this element is likely to also be pretty easily met. So out of these 5 elements, she's pretty cooked on the first 4 so far. And now for the 5th one.
The smoking gun here is that he had a camera. All right. This still would be loosey-goosey or up in the air if the camera was not present. It still would have been he versus she. And I think even outside of people like me, obviously breaking down logically what is happening here, you still have major components of the internet pressuring her innocence, because for them, in their illogical, irrational ability to make correct decisions, they think that it is enough information that he saw a female name of the DoorDasher and he wanted to do something creepy. And by the way, if she assumed that, then why would she complete the order? But I keep telling y'all, get cameras in and around your space, your crib, get car cameras. If you're a moral, prudent, high integrity person, the cameras can only help your position in some of these things. Think of them as paying for additional insurance on your life. It's just life insurance.
This is where the prosecution has to prove her intent in filming him. And the thing is, usually intent is one of the hardest things to prove in any case. That's because it requires digging into the mind of the defendant. And that isn't always so easy. But unfortunately for Henderson, she opened her mouth all over TikTok and made this element way easier for the prosecution to prove. Now, obviously, she says that she recorded him because he sexually assaulted her and that she was recording it so that she could report him. Now, for starters, in my last video on this topic, I did lay out why this can in no way be considered any form of sexual assault. Just not in this reality.
Flashing.
But she might argue that although this doesn't meet the legal definition of sexual assault, that she as a layperson had some kind of reasonable belief that he was doing something illegal to her. It's not exactly a perfect defense, but I can see a defendant making a mistake about the law like that and not actually intending any harm by it. But unfortunately for Henderson, she has a number of big problems with that defense, and all of them are documented on TikTok. Number 1, and I talked about this in my last video, she uploaded the video to TikTok first and only went to the police after a bunch of people commented on her viral video to convince her to report it. If the purpose of recording the man was to gather evidence about her assailant to provide that to the police, her first move should have been to go to the police, not to upload to TikTok.
Yeah.
So
well, you know, she wanted to monetize it. What do you mean? She's got a social media career, right? Like why get in the way of her becoming a social media darling, right? Like
there, she already has a huge problem with using the "I was reporting sexual assault" claim. And to be clear, if there was someone who did record for that purpose and they did go to the police and only handed over that recording to the police, that would be pretty clear evidence of their intent, and specifically their intent to report what they think is a crime. But the timing of her events just says otherwise. Second, she has talked way too much about this whole thing on TikTok, and in so doing has revealed her true intent for posting the video there.
I remember her complaining that TikTok ain't gonna pay her because of the violations on her account.
What appears to be her true intent. For one thing, there's monetization. In one of her rage videos, she goes on about how TikTok not only took down the video, but also, by taking it down, prevented her from making any money from it.
And they took down my video. They were gonna have to pay me for my second story time because that was over a minute long. They were gonna have to pay me for all those views I got. So nope, they took that right down. They took that right down. Absolutely not. They're not paying me for that. Nope.
And
by the way, TikTok pay is shit. It's complete shit. So if she got like a goddamn, let's say she got like 20 million views, that's probably like $300, $400, maybe. So she got all of this put up on her for $300, $400. It's in total way less than $1,000. And now she might have to change her name. Like, was it worth it, Dubby?
Big problem for her is that this self-snitch fits very neatly into that final element for unlawful surveillance. Ugh. Specifically, it shows that she posted the video to TikTok for the amusement, entertainment, or profit of someone other than the man she recorded. I think any reasonable person would look at this whole situation and say that she intended it for all of the above, especially for her own profit, given what she just said in that clip. But wait. That's not all.
Okay.
There's also the possibility that the prosecution can prove that she also fits into this intent element because she posted the video to TikTok for the purpose of degrading or abusing the man.
Oh.
Like, this is the only justice I'm getting, is exposing this man and having posted that video and it has gone viral. Like, now he can live with shame and embarrassment if people have seen it and knows who he is or where he... You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm the one being punished.
Revenge.
He's not getting in trouble with the police. He didn't lose his job if he has one. Like... What's going on with him? Why am I getting fired? Why are my videos getting taken down? And why am I getting strikes? Like, I'm about to lose my account. I was assaulted. I'm the victim.
Look at
I lost my job. I'm the victim. Right? Is this making sense to any fucking buddy?
You know what's also hilarious is that she was egged on by her audience of psychopaths, right? So... they egged her on to do this, and they're feeding into her delusion and irrationality. And now she's over here complaining to her still audience of people that fed her bullshit, but they also don't know that she's a damn liar. So that just shows like the cyclone of it doesn't make sense that can spin and circle when you get into a group of lemmings that just pat each other on the back for whatever is next in their victimhood ideology. It's absurd.
If she's going to really try to press for a finding of not guilty all the way to trial, she has to double down on the idea that the man sexually assaulted her. Because otherwise, thanks to her endless desire for internet attention, she couldn't let the incident go, and she had to keep running her mouth about it. And now, as a result, the prosecution has just about everything they need to convict her on unlawful surveillance, and by extension, dissemination of an unlawful surveillance. Because, of course, we all know that she's the one that posted the video to TikTok, and so, you know, if the state proves that she actually did commit unlawful surveillance of the man, proving dissemination will also be super easy. So at this point, she really has two options. Either try to negotiate some kind of a plea deal, which means dropping the claim that she was sexually assaulted and actually taking accountability for her actions, or she can continue to beat the self-victimization drum all the way to trial in the hopes that she finds an entire jury of people who are willing to ignore logic to somehow agree with her that she is in fact the victim here. Like I said, if this goes to trial, I don't think that this will end very well for her. And if she's convicted at trial, as opposed to entering a guilty plea, the punishment is actually likely to be much harsher than if she does in fact change her plea to guilty, before that point. But those are my thoughts. What do you think?
Hey, fantastic video. I'm gonna let you know what I think. This is super bad, but I can't look away from it. And it's sort of like that Ghislaine Akash situation. It's right. Like, you know, it's going to be bad, but it's that car wreck that we all got a rubberneck to, you know? If she had one remaining working, logical, rational brain cell, she would profusely apologize all over these social media streets. And I would argue that she should get a similar social media ban that Rhoda Brickface Osmond got, but probably will not, because to my knowledge, this chick doesn't have a storied history of abusing the internet for monetary gain. This may be her first offense. She just happened to strike gold, but in the opposite direction. She struck coal, baby. Lord knows what her 2-ton lawyer is telling her to do. I knew already when it was a public defender and he was overweight, you know, and I don't want to sound like I am discriminating against the fat population amongst us, but when I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, she's cooked. She's cooked. If the man can't manage his waistline, how is he going to be able to manage your case? All right. Full recipe for disaster. And all that's left is to lie to the judge, lie to the prosecution, lie to the jury, which I think is what she's going to do. We going to see, no matter if she does that or she apologizes to everybody, you know, we going to be here to capture it and revel in her defeat. The day and age for accountability, or more specifically, consequences for false allegations, and even more specifically, false allegations of sexual intent or nature levied onto men from women that are absolutely not true, needs to stop. I hope that the case is publicized. I hope that they have video recorders as it goes on so we can, I might live stream it. If that's the case, I gotta find out. I might live stream it. We might put all the content on hold, baby, and just live stream. Throw a damn live stream false allegation party. I heard we gonna get the libations middle of the day too. All right, I'm gonna get my big bowl of popcorn. It's gonna be massive too. All right, we gonna get after it. All right, but the lessons within all of this is that as men, knowing that there's crazies out there like that, what are you doing to mitigate your risk? Do you have cameras in and around your space to help verify whereabouts, to help verify what someone may accuse you against? And also, how are you and your associates utilizing social media? I think silence is power, right? Your Fifth Amendment rights to be able to invoke those is something that many places on this planet do not have. How are you using them? If you really feel or think that someone is doing something like this against you, going out on social media in order to let your emotions dovetail into clout chasing and validation, that's going to override any prioritization of strategy that you have within your life. And more often than not, you will lose. Discipline, thought, and restraint will always outperform emotion and ego. Don't be like this moron and try to chase the short-term gratification for the moment. Be a strategic thinker, because you win by being calculated. All right. Shout out to everybody. Shout out again to the channel. I'll leave a link to it down in the description box down below. Amazing assessment. All right. Great job. Nevertheless, guys, let me know what you think about this case and how it's wrapping up. And I'll see you guys soon. Also, shout out to Aura for sponsoring this video. Every time I do one of these DoorDash videos, I gotta throw in Aura, baby. You gotta get your private information off of these public websites. Utilize my link down below to get 2 weeks free to at least see if your information has been exposed. Go right now. All right. Do yourself a favor, because there's crazy people like this Olivia Henderson clown out there that are trying to ruin your lives for their own benefit. Okay. Until next time, y'all. Peace.
So without further ado, MTR, cut through the BS like we in charge. No cap with the rappers like steel bars. I'm packing and rapping like here we are. Here we are. Mediocre tutorial reviews. Like, comment, share my views. Come up and I paid my dues. Big step in my black way shoes. MTR, he break it down, yeah, it's MTR. Check out the sound with his MTR. No one put it down like it's MTR.